For Yoshanda, the Atlanta commute used to mean
just crawling along, wasting time in gridlock.
but not anymore. With Peach Pass, Yoshanda zips past the backups.
Peach Pass gets me to work on time and home for those meaningful family moments. The express lanes keep my busy life moving.
Less traffic, less stress. Get to your life faster with Peach Pass. Get yours at peachpass.com.
Learning Spanish for Beginners podcast, session 11. How to pronounce the letter A in Spanish. Welcome to a new session of Learning Spanish for Beginners podcast. In this session, we will learn how to pronounce the letter A in Spanish, and we will also learn about a few common mistakes to avoid. Por cierto, by the way, you can get a list with the 100 most common words in spoken Spanish at SpanishForAJob.com/top words. If you have ever felt overwhelmed with Spanish vocabulary, it's time to focus on the words that are used most often in everyday conversations. Remember, you can get your copy of the list with the 100 most common words in spoken Spanish at SpanishForAJob.com/top words. How to pronounce the letter A in Spanish. In Spanish, the letter A is pronounced as A, and it actually sounds very similar to the way you pronounce the A in English in words like far or father. Now let's look at a few examples that include the A in Spanish. El agua, water, el agua. Aquí, here, aquí. El amigo, friend, el amigo. Ahora, now, ahora. Antes, before, antes. Now, let's review a few common mistakes English speakers often make when they are just getting started with Spanish. This is useful because you will become aware of these tendencies so you can spot them as they show up when you're speaking Spanish and gradually phase them out with practice. There is no need to worry about making these mistakes because almost everyone makes them. If you find yourself making any of these mistakes, it only means you're a perfectly normal human being who is making progress and learning Spanish, so don't even worry about it. Instead of seeing them as mistakes, I suggest you see them as a path that everyone goes through at some point. See them as small challenges you are in the process of overcoming. If you notice them, it only means you're actually practicing and getting better every minute you do it. Remember, speaking Spanish is a skill, just like swimming or riding a bicycle. It's not hard, it's just a matter of practice. Now, let's begin with the common mistakes we can avoid. So, one common tendency of native English speakers is to pronounce the A in Spanish using a sound that sounds a bit more like or instead of a, because they are used to the English pronunciation of the A. However, it is important that you pronounce it as a, because the English pronunciation that sounds like or a actually resembles the pronunciation of a different vowel in Spanish, the vowel E, and this can be confusing for Spanish speakers who are trying to understand what you're saying. I don't want to confuse you here between a and a or a and e. What you need to remember is that the letter A in Spanish is pronounced A, and the other pronunciations can be confusing for native Spanish speakers. An easy way to make sure you remember the right pronunciation is to imagine yourself visiting an Amish Mexican dentist, and imagine this tall and funny Amish Mexican dentist asking you to open your mouth and say ah. So just imagine this. The Amish Mexican dentist says ah. This unusual mental image of an Amish Mexican dentist asking you to say ah will help you remember how to pronounce the A, which is the first letter in the word Amish, and it is pronounced ah in Spanish. If you would like to review a text version of these contents, you can access a PDF transcript of this session at learningspanishforbeginners.com/11. That's all for today's session, and by the way, if you would like to improve your Spanish pronunciation, I have created a pronunciation guide with text and video that you may find useful. In this guide, you'll be able to review the pronunciation of all letters in Spanish, as well as the answers to common questions about pronunciation. You can access the Spanish pronunciation guide for free at SpanishForYourJob.com/pronunciation. Thanks for listening to Learning Spanish for Beginners podcast. If you're enjoying this podcast, please leave a review and let me know what is your biggest challenge when it comes to learning Spanish so I can help you. See you next time. Hasta la próxima.